Hello, everyone. Today is March 26th, 2026, and this is Dad and his lifetime of stories. This channel was created for family and friends to learn more about Mr. Bobby and his lifetime. It's been very interesting asking questions because you don't know things until you ask. All right, last time we sat here and spoke, we were talking about, we kind of closed out. We were talking about your work and everything. And your somebody offered you a job in Arizona because of the cotton and the stuff in the gin was tearing your lungs up.
Yeah, the jute bagging and the dust that it produced. Evidently, you were breathing the dust over all especially the new cotton that had to come in, and you could get up on it after you stored it. We'd usually go anywhere from 4 to 5 to 6 high with a bale of cotton, 1, 2, 3, and we put it in there a long ways, but after I'd stored it over there, I would get up on top of it sometimes, just look at it, and you could see dust or the jute bagging as it was just floating around up there. But I come to find out I had went to Memphis to see a doctor, Dwayne Carr, I believe was his name, and he said that was what was giving me all my problems because I was staying ass sick all the time, just about it, just breathing that jute bag and that dust.
Yeah.
Uh, as you move that bale of cotton around, you stirred it up every time we get to the top that way.
Who offered you the opportunity to go to Arizona and see if you would like to work there?
Well, I talked to the assistant manager first, a guy named Oldham, Duck Oldham, as his nickname, Duck. I don't know where they got that nickname from.
Yeah.
Or where he got it. But anyway, the assistant manager there under a guy named Manley, Mr. Manley is one that was the superintendent down there at South Memphis at the time. But he was the one that initially let me go. I mean, he was the ultimate guy but I'd gone all the way to the top to even the regional manager. And because I was getting word back, this is a guy that you got to go to get anything done. You know, if you start seeing this one and that one, you know, whether it be the assistant manager or whether it be the manager down there, you're just getting one of the steps that you have to go through.
Right.
And somebody informed me and said, this is a man you need to see.
Man on top, so to speak.
Yeah, and that's who I went to. I just jumped over, and I think one of seemed like Mr. Manley kind of reprimanded me a little bit for doing what I did, but it got things to going. The man I finally talked to, you know, to get myself out there, it paid to go around, even though you get yourself in trouble a little bit. But you let them know that you mean business yourself. That helps out a little bit. You know, you put your foot down sometimes. You know, I either leave or you help me out, whatever you want to do.
So, did you drive to Arizona?
Yeah, I drove by myself.
How long did it take?
Oh, about a day and a half. Yeah.
Now, do I recall there's like a little bit of film, not
Oh
much, or was
yeah,
it just pictures?
hey, Mama had a motion picture, a little brownie that she bought at through the place where she worked at Spots Drugstore. Uh, she bought that and I used it all the way out there and all the way back. I think mostly going out there. When I was coming back, I was in a pretty good hurry coming back, and I kind of knew the road a little bit.
What was what was your conclusion on Arizona?
Well, that was most peculiar thing. It was hot as it could be out there. I mean, hot and just blowing hot.
Like 110,
It was just,
120?
yeah,
Yeah.
about what it was. It was up around the 120 all the time, seemed like. But in those warehouse buildings, you had overhead doors and fire doors between the two buildings, and they may run consecutive buildings down the center of the main aisle, they call it, and for several buildings, and they would have they would be raised where you go in and out, especially when they were working or whatever is doing in there, and if they needed to shut one off that they could, they would. But most of the time, they were open from daylight till dark. Somebody would open. Oh, we had some new ones built down there, and they were probably about 5 or 6, 7, 8 in a row. I mean, real nice storage building. And we had some wasn't much higher than what this roof is right here. That's just the way they built them, and that you couldn't stack too high up there. But we managed to get in and out of those little buildings that we had to use because they'd always run out of room in cotton season when the cotton began to flow in there, you know.
Well, when you were in Arizona, apparently you decided you didn't want to live there.
Well,
Is that because of the heat, or was it
yeah, that was
being
mostly.
in the building where there's no circulating air, or because
Well,
you're
I didn't.
saying, when you raise the doors, does that help get a little bit of air?
Yeah, yeah,
And
you
it
could.
seemed like they had big fans in the sides up there, maybe four
They
foot
did.
by
I
four.
could show you some scars I got on one of my fingers. He cut the end of one of these fingers off right at the nail because I was up there going fixing it, running. And
Got to shut the electricity off.
you don't ever do that.
Yeah, it's
I'd
like a
rather let
propeller on
Lonnie.
an
I'd
airplane.
rather let Lonnie do that because he's an expert. But I thought I'd try it, and it didn't work out.
um,
But
as far as the heat,
back
is there anything else?
as you could stand in, you could go in the building and come back out to where you went in. Whether it be 5 minutes or 30 minutes, but once you come to that big opening, that fire door that lets down on that, on this particular one, you could close down with no trouble. But whenever you would come to that area, there'd be a draft pulling that cool air in there from the outside. And man, it'd just take your breath because you'd be kind of be sweaty and wet yourself. But once you hit that fire door that was on the outside, there's always a fire door somewhere, or an overhead door that you close down because they pretty well sealed them off at night and then open them up in the morning. Wherever they was working the previous day, they leave it that way most of the time. On some of those doors, but most of them are closed down every night.
I guess after you decided against Arizona, you got another offer in Little Rock, or was that soon after, or a different job, or
It
what was
was
that?
it was a little bit after that because a guy by the name of George Gregson, he was my boss for several years. He was over that region out there. That was another reason I went out there because he had called and wanted me to come out there. And of course, since I was in the condition I was in, it suited me just fine because I wouldn't get no better if I went back to the cotton department there where I was in Memphis.
Well, the job that they were offering you in Little Rock, how much different was the environment versus where you were at Memphis? I mean, was there
Right.
cotton in Little Rock
Yeah, it was.
stored?
Yeah, oh yeah.
They were still ginning.
Right. But he offered me a job to where that I didn't have to work in it, is what it is.
Is that when it turned into the maintenance end?
I think it did about that time. Yeah.
How many?
Um,
I'm gonna have to stop this for just a minute.
Okay.
Okay, we had to stop for a second. So apparently you decided you did want to go take the job in Little Rock
Right. It was for a managerial
or
job.
North Little Rock.
Yeah. But it was to manage the property. I'd be the head man there at the plant.
How many plants were you over as far as what were there that you would be taking care of?
Well, at one time I was over, like 14 or 15. But once I took that one, that was just that one plant. And Mr. Gregson got, where these plants, some of them were operable, some of them were beginning to phase out. But and that was one thing that they seen was happening, or he did. And that's the reason he said, do you want to manage one? And this place, the plants in Little Rock, of course, already had 3 or 4 plants in Little Rock to take care of. There was plant 1, plant 2, and then 1A building, they called it. That was a new building that had just been built over behind the main part of the plant there in Little Rock. But I was a manager, the superintendent of the Little Rock plant. I still had 3 or 4 plants, though, to manage there in just the Little Rock area. I didn't go out of town
At that time. So after a period of time, they just kept giving you more properties to responsibilities.
Before I was offered the Little Rock property, I was offered by another regional manager who wasn't Mr. Gregson, and I don't remember the name of the man. He said he had a place that I could go to, and I said, well, where are you talking about? And he said, down in Helena, Arkansas. I said, I'm not going down there because I don't want to move my family down there. It's just our place nowhere because I had a brother live down there, worked for Milwaukee Rubber Company, and he told me how the place was, and I knew how it was. I'd already been involved in some of his squabbles. I got 3 or 4 of them and run back to where they came from.
Well, we're at a point where we can stop until we do it again next week. And until next week, everybody, goodbye.
Bye, con Dios.